Tonight, let me tell you the story of Maui, a figure both playful and wise, whose hands once tugged at the very fabric of the sky. Polynesian voyagers, who crossed vast oceans in canoes guided only by memory, wind, and stars, believed that each constellation above them was not only a cluster of light, but a thread woven by Maui himself. Long before there were charts or compasses, these voyagers whispered that the heavens were stitched with pathways, shining trails across dark water. In quiet evenings, when paddles dipped into silver waves and the night stretched endless, a storyteller might begin. Look up, for every star is a sign. Maui tied them there to help us find our way home. Picture yourself in such a canoe, the sea rocking gently, the horizon open in every direction. The paddlers move in rhythm, their strokes steady, and above them the sky is alive. The stars seem close enough to pluck, like beads glowing on a black cloth. This is the world where Maui lived, not only as a trickster who caught the sun or raised islands from the sea, but also as a guardian of travelers. In one story, he took strands of light from the moon and braided them into cords. These cords he stretched from horizon to horizon, weaving them into patterns that became constellations. Each knot was a star, each crossing a point to remember. What might seem like mischief was, in truth, a gift, a map drawn in light. Some say Maui's purpose was simple. He wanted voyagers to feel less alone when they sailed far from shore. He wanted fishermen, who set out at dusk, to see lanterns above and know the sea itself was marked with gentle signs. When the Milky Way arched across the sky, Polynesians called it the Long Shark, or sometimes a heavenly road. In these stories, Maui was the one who placed it there, stretching it like a rope for humans to follow. To those on the water, it was more than myth. It was direction, memory, and safety. Let us drift closer to a fireside in a small island village. The night is calm, the air smells of salt and pandanus mats, and a grandmother leans toward her grandchildren. Her voice is low, her eyes bright with reflection. "You see those stars?" she murmurs, pointing upward. "They are the stitches of Maui's net, and when we sail, we hold that net in our minds." The children gaze upward, their restlessness softened by her certainty. In her story, Maui is not distant. He is playful, but never careless. His tricks are the kind that become blessings. There is something gentle in this image. A demigod who does not only chase power, but leaves behind small lights for humans to use. In another telling, Maui tried to catch the night itself, to keep it from fleeing too quickly. He cast a line of woven hair and hooked a star, pulling it down until the sky bent closer. The stars resisted, scattering in his hands, but he laughed, delighted, and scattered them even further. That scattering gave sailors more guides, more signs to follow. His laughter, the elders said, still lingers in the twinkling of stars. Imagine now the quiet rhythm of a voyage. The sea is vast, the night unbroken, but the navigator sits calm. He does not look to land, for land is too far away. Instead, he recalls each constellation, the way they rise and set, the way one follows another. When he closes his eyes, the voice of an elder still whispers, "That is Maui's path. He laid it out so you would never be lost." The navigator smiles, breathing deeply, and continues steering by memory and trust. The canoe cuts onward, and the voyagers rest in confidence that the sky itself is their ally. From a modern view, we may ask, how much of this story is legend and how much is memory dressed in myth? Scholars who study Polynesian star lore find that these tales were not fanciful alone. They were a way of remembering, a living library of directions. The myths gave shape to knowledge, so that each generation could carry it across the sea without parchment or ink. Maui's playful weaving was both story and instruction. And while one child might dream of him tugging stars into nets, another, years later, would recall that very image when steering a canoe. Myth and map were never separate. They were one. And so, when the night deepens and the sea feels endless, there is comfort in knowing that above us lies not chaos, but pattern. Every flicker of light is tied to a purpose. Whether Maui truly wove those threads, or whether his story became a way to remember, the feeling is the same. We are guided. The voyagers understood this truth, and we may too. As the grandmother by the fire finishes her tale, the children feel sleep tugging at them. They see Maui's net stretched overhead, and they rest, knowing that even far journeys hold a path home. And in this thought, tonight's first part draws to a close. Like the voyagers themselves, we rest between waves, guided by a gentle net of stars. The fire has dimmed low, yet the village still breathes in rhythm with the night. In the distance, waves touch the shore with a steady hush, as though the sea itself is rocking the island to sleep. The grandmother's story lingers, but she is not the only one who carries Maui's thread of stars. In another part of the Pacific, a traveler sits at the edge of a canoe drawn up on the sand. He has returned from weeks at sea, his skin darkened by salt and sun, his eyes filled with memory. Beside him, an artisan who weaves sails listens carefully. The traveler speaks of how the stars guided him across endless water, and the artisan imagines each constellation stitched into his cloth. It is as though Maui has woven sky and sail into one fabric, binding heaven and ocean together. In one telling, Maui's weaving was not only for voyagers, but also for healers. A woman who tended the sick would look to certain stars for signs of when herbs were strongest or when tides would bring calm. She said that Maui had placed those stars carefully so that humans would know when to rest and when to act. In her garden, lit by moonlight, she would sing soft chants, aligning her work with the constellations. Her belief was simple. If the stars were stitched by Maui, then each thread carried intention. Healing came not only from leaves, but from trusting the rhythm of sky and earth. As the story drifts, you might hear the creak of wood, the sigh of a sail, the murmur of waves against stone. These small sounds are part of the tale, for they are the same sounds voyagers once heard when repeating Maui's name under their breath. To speak his name was to feel steady, as though his playful strength stretched across the horizon. Some elders said Maui tied stars the way a fisherman ties knots, secure yet flexible, never breaking under strain. Each knot was a promise, each spark a guide. Investigators of Polynesian lore often ask how such myths survived so many centuries. The answer lies in their adaptability. Stories were not fixed, like carvings in stone, but living, like chants carried on breath. In one island, Maui was a trickster who scattered stars with laughter. In another, he was patient, weaving them as carefully as a master artisan. Both images guided memory. Both ensured that the sky was never only decoration, but always a companion. For those who crossed water by night, it was enough to know the sky held meaning. The specific telling could shift, but the comfort remained. Imagine yourself again in a canoe at night, drifting where no land is visible. The ocean seems endless, and even the moon is hidden behind a veil of clouds. Then, slowly, the clouds part, and a single bright star appears. The navigator smiles because he knows its name, its path, its role. He recalls the tale, that Maui tugged this very star into place so humans would never be left without a marker. The star gleams, and with it comes calm. No matter how far the sea stretches, the voyagers are not abandoned. A thread remains. There is a gentle mystery in these myths, for they blur the line between divine play and human skill. Some researchers note that Polynesian navigators memorized hundreds of stars, reciting their rising points like verses of poetry. To remember so much required more than practice. It required story. And so Maui became the storyteller within the stars, his playful weaving the reason humans could recall such complex patterns. In this way, the myth was not only charming but practical, not only poetic but essential. At times, children asked why Maui gave so much. Was he not known for tricks that caused trouble? The grandmother might smile and say, "Yes, but sometimes tricksters also leave gifts. A laugh can carry wisdom, and a game can become a guide." This gentle reminder is itself a lesson. Not all mischief is harm. Sometimes playfulness leaves behind blessings, and sometimes the very hands that cause trouble also stitch safety. The children, hearing this, would rest easier, knowing that even flaws can carry kindness. As the night continues, a quiet chant rises from a nearby hut. The words are soft, almost a whisper, thanking the stars for their watchfulness. The chant is not grand, it is humble, like speaking to an old friend. In the rhythm of the chant, one hears again the image of Maui's net, stretched across the heavens. Each repetition strengthens the sense that the voyagers are held, not adrift. In this way, myth becomes lullaby, carrying both memory and calm. And here we may pause, letting the stars settle overhead. The waves are steady, the fire is low, and the voyagers, both ancient and imagined, close their eyes in trust. For tonight, Maui's path still shines, as patient as ever, leading home. The village grows quiet, and a few lamps glow like small moons along the path to the beach. The grandmother rests while a young navigator sets a canoe in the shallows for a short night journey. He is not seeking adventure. He is seeking practice, a calm circle near shore to test his memory of stellar paths. Beside him, the artisan ties one last knot in a pale sail stitched with tiny star patterns. The healer brings a bundle of herbs, their scent clean. Above them, the sky opens like a woven mat. The navigator remembers how the grandmother said Maui tied these lights so no traveler would feel alone. They push off, paddles dipping with a slow rhythm. The island eases back to a soft line. In one story, Maui braided twilight and dawn, giving sailors a longer moment to see first stars. In another, he set a hook across the heavens so broad it caught every gaze. Some communities trace the curve of that hook through a great star pattern, and they say Maui's laugh lingers in its arc. Names vary from island to island, yet the meaning stays kind. The sky is generous. The canoe follows a remembered bearing like a finger along a seam. The navigator greets a bright star rising at the edge of the world. In parts of Polynesia, it has a cherished name taught in songs by cooking fires. Elsewhere, it bears another name, yet the lesson is the same. A star is a friend if you know its path. The artisan adjusts the sail and smiles, because the fabric echoes the sky. The healer counts the swells, 2 small lifts and 1 long glide, a rhythm that says the ocean is at ease. We pause with a question. How did so much knowledge travel so widely without paper maps? Researchers speak of a star compass held in the mind, of swells and birds and wind across the cheek. Yet the community remembers the stories. The idea that Maui tied stars becomes a container for detail. It says, "Do not worry when clouds hide one guide. Another will arrive, because the net has many knots." It says, "The sky is not a riddle to fear. It is a family of signals that care for you." Myth and method sit side by side like paddlers. A thin cloud slides over the bright star. The canoe keeps moving. The navigator feels the swell from the east and notes its quiet push. He points to the white arch that some call a road of light, and others the back of a great fish. He whispers the lines that hold it in his mind. The healer opens her bundle, and a freshness like crushed leaves settles the breath of the youngest paddler. No one hurries. They trust that if one thread fades, another will show. A seabird crosses the bow, flying toward darkness that hides land. The artisan laughs softly. In many islands, a bird after nightfall is a hint to think of shorelines. The navigator watches another star slide to the middle of the vault. In one telling, Maui, tugged that star when it drifted, pulling it a finger's width so fishermen could mark a season. In another, he simply admired it and asked it to shine a little longer. Both lead the canoe the same way. The moon lifts, pale and comforting, and the lagoon ahead takes shape like a cradle. The canoe turns toward a familiar notch between reefs. Children who could not sleep wait with elders and lanterns. They see the sail approach, luminous against the moon, and a soft chant weaves with the sea. Paddles rise and fall in time with those voices, and the canoe noses into the beach with barely a ripple. The voyage was modest, but its lesson is large. Even a small circle can return wisdom. At the fire, the grandmother listens as the navigator describes the cloud that hid the star and the swell that spoke in its place. She nods, pleased by the calm with which he waited, and offers a final thread. "Some say Maui still walks the shore at night," she says, checking every knot in the net above us. "If one loosens, he ties it again, not to show off, but because he loves those who cross water." The picture eases. Everyone. The healer pours warm tea. The artisan folds the sail as if the cloth were sleeping. The navigator shows the smallest child 2 easy stars that cradle the path to dawn. Together, they promise to learn one more pattern tomorrow. The promise is soft, and it is enough. We end with a thought that glides as quietly as the canoe. Playful hands can weave safety. The myths of Maui, held with respect for each island's voice, keep memory steady and hearts at rest. If you sail a real sea, these stories may guide your eyes. If you sail the inner ocean of a busy day, they may steady your breath. Either way, the net holds. Look up, find a thread, and follow it home. Sleep comes like tide at slack water, and morning waits just beyond the reef. If this gentle tale soothed you, subscribe for more calm mythology and ocean stories for sleep. May your night be unbroken, your dreams kind, and your home easy to find by morning light. Good night.